Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 21 to the end. Etam bhukva svargalokam vishalam क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्नाः गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्या चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ताः यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्यविधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्तेनातश्च्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितुव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्याः यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयम् यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवम् मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्तं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य तेषु पापयोनयः धियो वैश्याः तथा शूद्राः ते यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः भक्ता राजश्रयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना मम भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामैवैष्यसि युक्तैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति। The last verse that we have seen, 31. Krishna urges Arjuna to pronounce boldly that my devotee never perishes. Pratijanihi kaunteya ame bhakta pranashyati. My devotee never perishes. Do proclaim, says. And the first line he says, it is, soon he becomes righteous. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Soon he becomes righteous, the one who starts journey. Meaning the dharma becomes natural to him. He doesn't have to put in any special effort to be righteous. Righteousness becomes natural. It is obviously you have to be. Or dharmatma, when we say, what we refer to put it the other way, is you become incapable of adharma. That's where you become dharmic. So when you say someone has become dharmic, that means he has lost his capacity to be adharmic anymore. That's the meaning of he becomes dharmatma. Dharma means that it is natural. If we are practicing dharma today, we need to inquire within ourselves. Is it because of our conditioning? We are conditioned to believe certain things as right and certain things as wrong. Because of our upbringing, because of our social conditions, certain things we say right and certain things we say no, it is not correct. Sometimes back, this child marriage was allowed. And today, we say, no, it is not correct. Sometimes back, they said, divorce is wrong. Today, we say divorce is correct. What's wrong in that? So it keeps changing. That's all I'm saying. There's no necessity that it has to be. Now, is this the basis for us to decide whether I am righteous or not? What is making me to take to something as a course, as right and wrong? Is it because of situation? It's like me saying, I have never taken break to do my job. What are you doing? I'm taking Vedanta class, Bhagavad Gita class. For this Bhagavad Gita class taking, I have never taken bribe from anyone. First of all, even if you fix charge, nobody will pay. Right? Now, undercut, who is going to give? It's a special class for me. Who is going to give? Whereas a person who is working, for example, in a government office, there is an opportunity. If he says, I have not taken bribe, there is a meaning in that. You see, if I am not taking bribe, that's situational. Why? Because first of all, nobody will be paying it. So most of the time we say we have not done anything wrong. It's not because of this, it is because of lack of opportunity. Most of us don't get that opportunity itself, first of all. If you get an opportunity, then you have to see. Second one is, we are so scared of what will happen after that. Fear of consequence. That is what we tell. Sometime back, it actually happened here. A boy came from US. The girl is married. And don't say all US are like that, okay? Just give this case I'm referring to. Came from this, and this fellow got married, and the marriage happened in a matter of about 50 days, of course. With that family knows them, this family knows this, these people, two people spoke to each other. They found all this fantastic. And then he said, in another 2 weeks, I have to go to US. And the girl's father said, then that means we have to go and get it registered. Need a marriage registration has to be done. And the fellow said something or the other he was avoiding 1 year. Second year he came. By the time he landed, they said, if she has to go there, she needs that marriage certificate. If marriage certificate is not there, she cannot go. So but they are very loving to each other. Every evening he would call, alternate days he would call this one, and this girl is so happy that in-laws were doting on the child. Everything is fantastic. 2 years happened. Suddenly one day evening, the girl's father getting a call around 7:30 saying, someone came into the house, killed the girl, robbery. And the girl's father also did not suspect anything. There was not happened anything. And finally, the police suspected something. They felt something wrong, What is this? This guy killed her. Why? He had an affair with a girl. They were living happily in US. And he has told that girl there, look here. My wife is going to be in India. And we are going to be living in US. How they will know? They are not going to know. So in US, we will live happily. When I go to India, I will live with her happily. That's all. The problem solved, you see. But then a point came where that girl in US started insisting. Then what to do? Yes. What is the whole agenda? The whole idea is what? Do wrong, but do it without anyone can find out. Don't show. That's what you see. And that is what we see as all these movies also. Sometimes I really used to wonder when I watch these movies, these robbery movies, it's my favorite. It's so interesting to watch. We expect that fellow, the hero who is actually a robber, to succeed in that mission. Ocean's 11, 12, 13, I don't know, 14, 15 and all may come. I don't know. Ocean's 11, 12 or 13 came with only women also. Something came, similar pattern. Someone told me that. So interesting to see. Italian job. First of all, these guys have gone there to swindle, to rob the bank. And then one amongst them had robbed the whole money from them. How dare you do that? How can he do such a thing? Backstabbing. What did you do, man? It's so interesting for all of us. The whole thinking they do is not to get caught. That's all. Stealing is not a problem. Pickpocketing is not an issue. You should pick that pocket without getting caught. That's where the effort is. So, this Dharmatma, when we say, if at all we are dharmic, if at all you are following the traffic signal, because of what? Because of policeman standing. If the policeman is not standing, red signal, you stop the car. The fellow is honking from behind. I said, see the red signal. He says, so what? I said, red. I'm showing him the red signal. Hey, it's showing red, man. What do you want me to do? Yes, clearly it shows. Left turn, red is there. When that arrow mark, left turn, arrow mark is showing red. I'm stopping the car. The fellow from behind is honking and asking, why are you stopping? I said, see that. After looking at that, he is asking, so if a traffic constable were to be standing, then what happens? Now, abroad, people are not like that, sir. They're very disciplined. Why? Cameras are there. Policeman is not there, but cameras are there. You can jump the signal. There's no problem. You can jump the signal and go. By month end, you will get the ticket. 3 times you get the ticket. 4th time, your DL will get cancelled. After that, you need to have a contact from the Prime Minister, President. Recommendation has to be given to you to pass that. Therefore, we are very, very good. If at all we are, or we are dharmic because of upbringing, culture. It says, dharma will become your natural state. That's what it means by, Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Soon you will become dharmic. He becomes righteous. Not only that, soon he attains that eternal peace also. Shashvatam Shantim Nikachati. So first, the steps is this. When you start your spiritual efforts, you start with very many lacunas. So many issues will be there in you. So many wrongs are there in you. With that only you start. But once you start here, the progress will be so fast that the wrongs will no longer be effortfully right. It becomes effortlessly right. Naturally right. You start functioning not based on your situational right and wrong or cultural right and wrong. Out of fear of consequences, right and wrong, you fall into this universal right and wrong, which is what is referred as Dharmatma. After that, what happens? You attain that eternal peace. Okay, what is the effect of that, sir? Once I get this, once I become Dharmatma, what is going to happen? He says, you get Shanti, peace. And what sort of peace, he says, is this Shashvatam Shanti, eternal peace, permanent one. That will not go. In anything can happen around you. Your peace will not get disturbed at all. Anything can happen to you. Your peace will not get disturbed at all. Even if you get corona, you will not be affected. Right. Quietly, you will go into the room, quarantine. Right. You will not make a fuss of it. Why did I get it? How can I get it? I should not know what karma I have done, what papa you have done. If you have to get means, the entire corona in the world should come to you. for the amount of papa that you have done. Like Shakespeare says, there is a divinity that shapes our ends. In spite of all that, you have got only this much now, you should be happy. Divinity, man, I am protected. I can go, man. Yes, don't get. Soon you get to righteousness. Soon you will become righteous. Soon you will become unselfish. So when you start with selfishness. You progress spiritually. You get into the path of spiritual effort. The moment you get into the path, what will happen? Quickly you will become unselfish. Without you even realizing that you have become unselfish. That's what it means. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma means it's not that, many times you yourself cannot believe that you have become unselfish. Even if someone were to tell you, if you people want, I don't want to give examples, live examples. Right? I have seen live examples. Personally, I'll give you. Classic example, inspiring ones. Why I'm not giving is not because, when I give like this, it is just an information. You can't get that, inspiration. These examples are so nice. You should get inspired with that. Looking at the screen, you can't get inspiration. You can get excited, but you can't get inspired. Remember, excitement is possible. Like when you watch a movie, you get excited. You can't get inspired from it. That is not possible. Excitement alone can happen. So that's why I'm not giving those things. But I prove, I tell those people, in front of them I tell, what a great service, man. They say, no sir, genuinely. Not that, that false modesty or anything. It's not a false modesty. Genuinely, they cannot believe. Say, how is it possible? Someone who has done such a great thing, genuinely feeling nothing extraordinary about it. See, it's really nice to see those people. That's what he refers as Kshipram bhavati dharma. Soon you become. Soon you become means the transformation happens so fast, you can't believe how is it possible that this has transformed into that. It's like a worm transforming itself into a moth, a dragonfly. It is impossible for that worm to believe that 2 days back I was there. Today I'm here. The transformation is so dramatic. Still, in the eyes of that person, it looks, impossible. That's why he calls it as soon. Because when we are starting your effort, always it is looking like what? My God, so long I have to do. You got to reduce your belly fat. They say, right? Immediately we ask, in how many days? Okay. A fellow says, won't work like that, man. It will take at least 15 months. 15 months of effort you got to put in for you to get to the proper shape. 15 months. Straight away you say, oh, this is how you start. When you begin, that 15 months will look like, I got 15 months. Now, today when I look back, 30 years of my association with Vedanta, it is about 30 years for me now. Where are we? February, no? Yeah. February 92 is where I got introduced. I still remember. 30 years has gone. Today it looks like 30 years, my God. Unbelievable. It just went like that. 30 years has passed like this means what? Means the process, the way in which the 30 years passed by was so pleasant, so pleasurable, so enjoyable that 30 years shrunk into just yesterday. That is what he means by Kshipram. Soon. Soon means, don't take it literally as the duration. It's not the period. It's not that, okay, how many months, how many days, weekend crash course on Vedanta. 1 week Vedanta course. From fat to fit. How long I'm going to take? It's going to be just a matter of 1 weekend, sir. You come inside fat, you go out slim. That's it. That is not what Krishna refers here. When he says Kshipram, don't take it as literally the duration, not the time period. The duration here is experienced by you as moving so fast. When that will happen is only when you are enjoying that. The effort for transformation is so pleasant, so pleasurable, you will experience that like that it has happened. And that's what he means by Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Beautiful verse. You can look at it from various ways. You see, I'm just giving few ideas, whatever comes, how you read it. Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Soon he becomes righteous and attains eternal peace. O Kaunteya, know for certain that my devotee never perishes. Right. Verse 31. Verse 32. Mam hi partha vyapashritya episyu papayonaya striyo vaishyas tata shudra tepi yanti param gati. For those who take refuge in me, Partha, though of sinful birth. Rest of the verse don't read it. Safe is that. They also attain the Supreme Court. In between, swallow. Get into trouble unnecessarily. Skip it. Yeah. Safe to skip these verses. Though of sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, even Shudras, they also attain the Supreme Good. Those who take refuge in me. Partha. Partha is another name for Arjuna. Arjuna. Though of sinful birth, Papayonaya. Women, Vaishyas, even Shudras, they also attain the Supreme Good. I've referred a few verses. It's not that other verses we have understood what Krishna is saying. Some verses, completely gone off track. See, And in this verse also, the most problematic one is not even the Vaishyas and Sudras. The problematic one is women, though of sinful birth. Women. See, the problem is, women, if you say, straight away 50% of humanity not qualified. You see, straight away you got to call it as 50% of humanity sinful birth. Huh? And we don't know what to do. So somehow we have to give a support to Krishna and say, no, Krishna cannot be wrong. So when he says women, he is not meaning women actually, some justification we have to give. Okay. You can't simply say, yeah, he simply said there, forget it, go, of course it is wrong. He shouldn't have said that. See, what you need to understand is this man has been speaking for, we are where? In the 9th chapter. And he has been listening to this blabbering of Arjuna for 1 chapter. Then speaking. In between, he just slipped. Forget it, man. Move on to the next one. Will be the best way to go about it. Right? But we cannot accept that, Krishna can be wrong. It is not possible for us. Then what is he referring to? And what is he saying? Why he is putting it in a very, very, sinful way. See, the problem is we don't understand this, basic, style of construction of sentences in Sanskrit. See, there are 2 ways you can take this. One is though of sinful birth, such as women, Vaishyas, Shudras. Also Shudras. This is one way of taking the same thing. Another way of taking it is though of sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, even Shudras. This is another way of taking it. There are 2 ways in which you can interpret. I mean, not interpretation, you can translate it. Now, which translation is correct, no one to say, because both translations are correct. If a person were to translate it as though of sinful birth, example, women, Vaishyas, Shudras. That is what is said there. Correct. Then he says, those who take refuge in me, though of sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, even Shudras, they also attain. So the problem will be, is Krishna referring to 4 categories or Krishna referring to 3 categories? 4 categories means sinful birth, women, Vaishyas, Shudras. This is 1. Suppose if we take it as sinful birth, example, women, Vaishya, Shudra, which means sinful birth of women, sinful birth goes along with Vaishya, sinful birth goes along with Shudras also. Now the problem is both are correct translations. Now, you cannot say second one is wrong and the first one is correct, or the first one is wrong, the second one is correct. Both are right. That's where the problem is. No, that's where the problem of translating from one language to another language. Particularly when you move from a totally alien languages. There are some languages which are all connected, related languages. See, there is some connection. Like Arabic, Urdu, if you take, there is some connection. Right? Now, suddenly you bring in this connection between our modern English, today's English, and ancient language as Sanskrit. It becomes very difficult for us to establish, remember that. So we need to take which one is it, sir? In either case, we take only one stand. What is our stand? We are here to what we call in Tamil as muttu kudukaradu. You give the support, no? We have to support Krishna now. Poor fellow, he has said something which is not correct. So we are here to support Krishna and say, no, he is not saying anything wrong. He is saying correct only. What we need to understand is, so here, not a big problem when it comes to this Vaishyas and Shudras and all that, because today there is no, this is a obsolete ideas. There's no point in discussing about all this today. This caste and all that. It is a tiresome and a laborious one to even explore and understand. But the most complicated aspect in this verse is when he says women. And what you people should remember is this. They don't immediately say this is, what is that male child minister. They say no, isn't it? This is Krishna is a male chauvinist. What you have to understand is a culture which has conceived Ardhanarishwara, right, and worshipped cannot be male dominant or female dominant. You see, both are not possible. Male chauvinist is also not possible in that culture. Female chauvinist is also not possible in that culture. Either case, it is not possible. But what we have to understand is when he says here, what is he referring to? What is the context? The context is he is referring to who. Yes, we have seen, of course, in our class we are studying it 4 or 5 weeks back, maybe, because of gaps. But if you read that verse 30, 31, 32, in that context, we can understand what he is referring to here. So these things are not a philosophic one here. This is more of psychology. Now that's why we say Bhagavad Gita is the most ancient treatise on psychology. Many a times, philosophy and psychology gets mixed together. Right here, it's more of certain psychological truths. Why Krishna is using those psychological props is because Arjuna has fallen psychologically. The spiritual falling has happened. Not in the Mahabharata war. Before Mahabharata war, spiritually fallen. During war, it has fallen. Even after winning the Mahabharata war, also he has fallen. Right? Now, spiritual fall is not what Krishna is referring to. Krishna also has to see that Arjuna has fallen psychologically. So, to give him that psychological props, he has to use only psychological props also. It's not that he has to use only psychology. He uses philosophy. Also, he uses psychology. Both he uses. Now, if you read that context, the context is he is talking about a person who is not a bhakta, right? Because earlier discussion is over. Bhaktas were of, Sakama bhaktas and Nishkama bhaktas. What is this? What is that? All that is over. Now he is moving to a person who is an abhakta attempting to become a bhakta. Right? He's not referring to a person who is already started the spiritual journey. Nor he is talking about a person who is in the advanced stage of spiritual journey. No. He's not referring to. Those two references were done already. Now he is referring to a person who is in the materialistic world, considering a possibility of getting into spiritual. Right? Now, to such a person, what is this? To that, he is giving all this. To give him those things, he gives that psychological pep-up. For that pep-up, he gives certain examples. Even those people cannot achieve. Who we take as Papa Yoneha. So before you take that Papa Yoneha, literal translation is of sinful birth. Yoneha means womb, actually speaking, not birth. Strictly speaking, it is just a womb. That's all. Understood is birth. What is referred by womb is birth. That's the meaning of that. That's why we take it as birth. Now here we need to ask immediately, what is the meaning of the word sin? Papa. What is the meaning of Papa? After defining that only, you should progress. You see, without defining that, if you progress in your thinking, you're completely lost. So sin means what? Agitation. Agitation is called sin. If you are mentally disturbed, you have sinned. That's it, nothing else. Mental agitations. Sin is not in the action. It is in the reaction. You do an action, as a result of which it rebounds, boomerangs back on you and creates a mental disturbance to you, means you have sinned. That is the meaning of it. So now replace the word sin with agitation. Means what? Sinful birth means agitated birth. Birth, life of agitations, life of disturbance. That's what it means. Those who have born with a lot of disadvantages, disadvantaged situation, right? Like we keep telling, in our house, when the child is not studying, you know how Abdul Kalam passed, how he used to study? The street light, right? Now, if another person says, you know how they had work, they had to walk 5 miles to go to school. You are not able to walk from this place to that place. He says, get me a vehicle for me to move. How can't you walk? They walk, no? So wherever we have to give, we immediately give the examples of what? We immediately go to the most disadvantaged. If they can achieve, why can't you? Is what the understanding is, isn't it? This is how we present the cases. When you wanted to motivate the child to study, to work, to slog and all that, a person who is completely low, all this motivational talks and all that, if you go, they will keep giving examples of only those people. They immediately show a picture of a man standing on top of Everest. You know who is that man? I'll show you. I don't know who is that fellow. He's a man who has fallen from that parachute. When he was taking that dive, the parachute didn't open. It's story. It is a real one, huh? Not just a story. It's really happened to a fellow. He fell 16,000 feet. The guy fell. He survived. But he got his back injured so badly that they said, this man will not be able to get up and walk. The doctors certified he cannot get up and walk. 2 years later, this man is standing on top of Everest. He climbed Everest. And you are telling me, lift is not working, therefore I cannot climb the steps. This is how we'll tell, no? So it is quite natural, right? So we take the most disadvantaged. In the spiritual path, the disadvantaged ones will be what? He says there are 3 examples he gives. I'm not taking the first interpretation of the sinful birth, comma, women, comma, Vaishya, comma, this, comma. That is not, if we take that, it's very easy. There's no big problem. Only when we say of sinful birth, woman is example for that, Vaishya is example for that, Shudra is example for that. Then we have to explain it. What does it mean? So here we say the most disadvantaged position is to take to that spiritual path, you need to be having some sort of a support system. Right? Some support is needed. Right? If you take an example for a most disadvantaged birth, Prahalada is a classic example. Right? The father is giving poison to the mother and asking that mother to give that to the child. And she's giving also. What she should have done is, first half I will drink, second half I will give it to the child if she had said. I'll say that is a good mother. Leelavati, no? Hiranyakashipu's wife. What she should have done? You give me poison. No, this one portion is not enough. Get 2 portions. 1 portion for me and 1 portion for my son. I am drinking for having such a husband. He also has to drink. Why? Because he also has such a pathetic father, pathetic mother. That is correct. Now this lady is not even doing that. She is saying what? She is giving the entire portion. Of course, she is crying. Ayo, my God, ayo, and all she is doing, all the natak she is doing. Okay. She is not pretending. When I say natak, I am not saying, she is pretending. She is genuinely feeling the pain of it. But she can never think of this possibility where, let me also drink it. That I cannot do. That I cannot do. And then we say, she is such a great mother. A great mother. Mother means he should have drank first. No. The man got so annoyed with me. Because he was portraying that as drama. And his presentations have been so widely acknowledged. So when I asked that performer, he got annoyed with me. Now, what you are asking questions like this? because the scene was like, 1.5 hours on stage. That scene where that mother is giving that poison to the son. She is holding the poison and debating and discussing and talking for 1.5 hours on stage. I said, Ningle kudichirukkalame. You would have drank that. Problem solved. At least, Hiranyakashipu would have changed. Possibly. If Narayana can support Prahalada and help him, he would have definitely saved you also. Pathetic. Most disadvantaged position for a seeker, if you want to think of the entire scanning, at least according to me. I have not seen anyone's birth as disadvantageous as Prahalada's. That is why they call him as the king of Bhaktas. All the Bhaktas are there. Who is to be treated as number one? Number one, always. No matter who you have, we don't care. Vibhishna is there, all stalwarts. Dhruva is there, Narada is there, this fellow is there, that fellow is there. All those fellows are there. But Prahalada stands out. Why? Most disadvantages. But his disadvantages were only external in nature. Right? Disadvantages can be external, disadvantages can be physical, disadvantages can be emotional, disadvantages can be intellectual. Isn't it? Disadvantages can be from any of these levels. You have a lacuna from the external. So when he is interpreting it as these 4 levels, straight away we can fit in as A, B, C, D of sinful birth. What is referring to us? External. Women, physical disadvantage. Then Vaishyas, what is their problems? Emotional. Shudras, intellectual disadvantage. So this is their problem. So if you are going to take it as 1, 2, 3, 4, this will resolve the whole thing. No issues. Suppose if you are going to take it as sinful birth, example, women, Vaishyas, Shudras, now we have to read it in a very different way. Right? This is what we call as torturing the text. Twisting and turning, and somehow we have to prove that, Krishna correct. Remember, ideally I should leave, but I'm not going to leave. We are going to see in deeper. We'll see. We'll go deeper and deeper and deeper and see how much we can go into these things. See, this to claim that these women, first one, then we'll take up this Vaishyas and Shudras. That's a little easy. Vaishyas, Shudras, little easy to understand. It's not a big problem. Now, what is referred here is a person who has this agitation, disturbance, disadvantage. Meaning, they have to work against the flow, against the current. They have to swim against the current. So there is a disadvantage. Now we have to identify what is the disadvantage in women, What is the disadvantage in Vaishya? What is the disadvantage for Shudra? But the central idea of the verse is not to highlight what is the disadvantage. Central idea is any disadvantage you can have doesn't make any difference. Take refuge in me. If you take refuge in me, what is going to happen? Shipram bhavati dharmatma. You go to previous verse. Soon all the disadvantages will disappear. In fact, the same disadvantages can be turned into an advantage for you also. You can use that wind flowing against you to sail forward, isn't it? If you know. Otherwise, what is it? You cannot move forward. So, here the accent is not in terms of establishing what is a disadvantage, proving how it is sinful. That is not the point. The point is, even if you are having that, doesn't make a difference. Even if you have failed in 10th standard, doesn't make a difference. Join my training program. You can pass UPSC exam. I'll train you to join IIT. I will train you to pass NEET exam. That will show what? That will show the confidence of the teacher. The teacher is so confident. He says, you can be the dumbest fellow. Join my class. I had one maths teacher like that. 2.5 months, he completed the entire portion of 11th standard and 12th standard, and got me prepared to write my 12th exam. Final. 11th standard mathematics. Because I went to him for a tuition the mid of Jan or something like that. He said, see, 12th standard mathematics you can't understand unless you know my 11th standard. I said, forget it. I am writing 12th now. He said, so? March then, huh? He said. The fellow said, March, no, the exam is. What's the problem? I said, sir, not March, this March. Pada, simply come. Just come and sit here. You don't have to do anything. Simply sit. Enough. He trained me to such an extent where I developed a problem in integral calculus. He trained to such an extent where I can create problems, not write solutions, not give answers. Create it. Some amazing teacher. But fascinating one. There are teachers like that, who have the confidence to say that. Similarly, the spiritual part, or you can, if you want to narrow it down, you can narrow it down to the context of the Gita. If you take, we are discussing Bhakti Yoga here. This Bhakti Marga says what? Bhakti Marga says doesn't make any difference. You can be the most disadvantageous one. Doesn't make any difference. You can progress spiritually. You are not left out. That is the central thing. Don't miss that part. Okay. Incidentally, since he has referred these three, we have to study what is it. So, main idea is not to study what is women here. You see, essentially what it means is very prima facie. If you take, we have a very popular idea of psychologically, we feel that men are rational, women are emotional. Right? This is a very popular one. Okay? Women are very emotional. That's why they start crying, Anything they'll start crying. Oh, they cry. Right? Men don't cry. So we say what? Women are emotional. Men are what? No. Opposite of that has to be the case. That's all. Opposite of emotional is what? Rational. That doesn't mean men are rational. There's no necessity, but it is so interesting to see. If you have to take to the spiritual path, getting emotional is a disadvantage. Right? If you want to live your life, sir, I can have only one, either emotion or rational. Only one is possible. Both are not possible. Only one I can afford to have. Means life will say emotion. Life will never say rational. Because survival demands emotion, not rationality. See, imagine if the mother is not feeling for the child, what will happen? You will not even feed the child. Now, what will happen to that? It will simply die. That's all. You don't require logic. You don't require mathematics. You don't require rationality here, intellection here. So intellectualization as far as life is concerned is a luxury. It's not a necessity. Whereas emotion is a necessity. It is compulsory for you to live your life. Correct. But the moment you say, sir, I'm going to turn to spiritual, here it's exactly the other way around. Emotion becomes a problem. Whereas rationality becomes an essential ingredient. Okay. So when he is referring to women, Stree, when he says, Krishna is not referring to the biological Stree. Then what is he referring to, sir? He is referring to the psychological. Psychologically, there are two aspects are there. See, and every human being is a combination. That is why we have created this Ardhanarishwara. Every human is a combination of this man and woman. Why? Because the body itself is a creation of half man and half woman. No. Isn't it? So we say the same way we say it is psychologically also there is. The only difference between man and woman is in a man, masculinity is at forefront, femininity underplace. In women, femininity is in the forefront, masculinity is hidden. Supposed to be. Right. Nevertheless, the qualities of masculinity and the qualities of femininity are different. Now, essentially, what is the difference? Femininity essentially means a state of passivity. Feminine means a state of acceptance. It's called femininity. Feminine nature is that. Masculinity means the capacity to be explorative. You become more and more explorative means masculine. That's a masculine quality. right? Then what is feminine quality, sir? Feminine quality is to be in a state of passive acceptance. Acceptance nature is femininity. What is the meaning of acceptance nature? Then we ask this question. What is the meaning of that? Passive acceptance means what? Means your inability to question. That's the meaning of acceptance. நீங்க சொன்னா சரி சார். If you say it's correct. If someone else says the same thing is not correct. So value is not for what is said. Who's saying it? If you say correct, that is called acceptance. Acceptance essentially means what? You don't question. And the essential requirement for a spiritual journey itself is to explore, to question, to probe, to investigate. If you're just going to be accepting it, where is the thing? So what happens is, in every human, in a man, the rational aspect is in the surface. Feminine aspect is this, at this conscious level, at the conscious plane. In a woman, what is it? It's the other way around. At the conscious level, it is acceptance, masculinity. Exploratory nature is in the subconscious level. Right. The tragedy is we don't know how to balance it out. Therefore, we suffer in life. That is after this, it's all psychology problems. We just borrow that one aspect of it, one truth of psychology, and say, if we need to have this exploration means what? My ability to go around, to question, to explore. The starting point is what? I am not accepting what is there in front of me. Now, our problem is we start searching God with the full knowledge of God. That is our problem. God, Triyada. Don't you know God? They turned around and asked me, do you know God? We all know God. Hey, you are attending Bhagavad Gita class. Why? Not that you don't know. You wanted to listen. Okay, what Ishwaran says on this Gita, that's all it is. Not that I don't know. Therefore, I'm attending. That's not the reason. Right? The reason is what? No, you listen to this. Now you will go to another person. Now let's see how that person says about this verse. How he's interpreting Papa Yonaya. Let us say, this is not exploration. You see, this is not questioning. See, the starting point itself is wrong for all of us. That starting point is what he is referring to. The first step. The first step is to have this questioning, exploration. Exploration means you are entering into an unknown terrain. That's called exploring. Exploration means what? It's like walking in the jungle where there is no route, there's no road, there's no path. No roads. Just have to move. That's it. How do you move? How you come back? Is there anything going to be there? Nothing guaranteed. That's why all of us go for trekking with a guide. And the guide will tell you, hey, don't go away from the things. And the guides have already pre-marked the paths. You will not know. Only they know. How they identify that? Nah? They say, sir, if you put a painting mark, people will know. So we can't afford to do that. So what we do is, we break the twigs. That particular tree or the particular bush, the twigs, we break and keep. That means we have to move in that direction. You have to move in this direction. You have to move in that direction. They know that. That's not exploration. It just gives you an illusory belief of exploration. That's about it. It's not actual exploration. Actual exploration is where you have no idea. Imagine, really exploration means the first person who took a boat and ventured into the sea. When you are standing on the shore and looking at that sea, yonder, what is it? As far as your eyes can go, it is nothing. And there is no guarantee that any other land is also there. We don't even know that. That person is exploring, you see. That is exploration. That is called entering into unknown. When you say, I don't know God, I'm going to plunge into thinking. I'm going to study the Bhagavad Gita to know God, to understand, to inquire, to question. All that means it demands an extreme amount of courage. You see, there are people go to temple, they say, in this temple, if you go and tie that coconut, you will get a child. So those who are, wanting to have a child can go. Don't ask me the address. Don't put it up in the chat. Which temple is that? Go to the temple and buy one cradle, or sometimes sell a cradle. Tie that cradle in that one. What I would ask you to do is go to the temple, take the address. I prefer this Aadhaar card, where things and all you should get first. Get the address of all those people. Those who have come there, type that, go. Take the list of all those people. Call after 1 year and find out how many of them got a child. You will not find even one. You can try that. If anyone wants to challenge me, can try that. You will not find a single one. Does it mean it is false? See, statistically, if you take empirical data, it's not matching at all actually. At least 5% of success rate should be there, no? Hit rate. What is it? It's not worked. It will not work. It will not work for you. It will not work to all these people. But then how it all started? The first fellow, remember, the first one who went to that temple and prayed, like I am giving that cradle for you to sleep. I want a child also in my house, man. where there is no guarantee whatsoever. Now, today, if you go to the temple and tie that, you have that belief of what? See, already there are 1,000 cradles hanging. That means what? Chances are there, no? There's a very good chance, you see, for me to go. This is not exploration. Exploration is to go into unknown. Today, for you, do you have the courage to go into that unknown? Enter the dark room. Many times these days, midnight you go and ring the calling bell, the lady comes and opens the door. In those days, even if my mother wakes up, she will tell my father, go and check. He will say. Now today, the man wakes up and asks the lady to go and check. Say, yes. Because last week happened here, in our neighbor's house, here. 11:30, tall sound, So he got worried. So she goes and checks there. He's ringing the bell, the lady comes out. And I thought, there's no men in the house. All these days I believe that. I never thought, there are men in that house. I thought only ladies are there. That's why I didn't go. If I go there and stand and ring the bell, they will call the security. Night, this man is coming in front of my house. I said, go and check. And day before, I'm seeing a man standing there. I said, there's a man there in the house. I'm living here for the last 4 years. Right? First time I saw that man in the house. I don't know who's that fellow. Ghost, real, what is it? So I'm standing there and staring at him. That fellow also looking at me, wondering, why are you looking at me like, I was actually, staring the same. I was literally staring at him. It's like, he must have thought, what's wrong with this guy, What is he doing here? Exploration. Exploration means that capacity to plunge into that unknown. See, we don't know what is God. And I'm going to explore to understand what is God. Demands what? Courage is needed. That ability to probe, ability to question is needed. Women means it's a terminology referring to. Now, today we have a word for it, feminic. When I say feminine, there is no problem. See, just a word. When I say feminine, there is no problem we have. The moment I say woman, there is a problem. See, this is what our condition is. But what spiritual path refers to is the qualities there. The psychological disadvantage for them. What is it? The state of passive acceptance. Whatever is presented, not having the courage to plunge into that unknown is what is referred as women. Then he says, there are Vaishyas. Now, I have referred this to you people. This Varnas, the 4 Varnas, developed from the Guna, the qualities. So, Guna is the base and Karma is the base. Right? Guna-based classification, action-based classification, or lifestyle-based. Action in the sense is action, what do you mean? Lifestyle. What sort of a lifestyle you lead and what sort of a guna you carry. Nowhere we have in the scriptures, these varnas were decided based on your birth. Right? Birth-based varna we don't have. This is what I said. The problem of translating from one language to another language. Because in Sanskrit we have two words. Varna is there. Another one is jati is there. Varna is a word. Literal meaning of the word is color. Right? Color. Now, when an Englishman comes and translates varna to color, he will have a problem. Because he has a differentiation based on color. Or he had, okay. To soft pedal the whole thing. And they had. When he comes here and says, you people had color, immediately our fellows will turn back and ask, inna color difference? We all brown only. Only shades are different. Dark brown, wheatish. As far as we are concerned, oh, he's very fair. Fairness means what as far as we are concerned? Not white. Fairness as far as we are concerned is a wheatish. I say, a wheat color is not a is not white color. You see? Now they can't say classification based on colors because there are so many Kshatriyas who are fair. There are so many Brahmanas who are dark. You see that? He can't translate the literal meaning of the word varna. Literal meaning of the word varna is color. He says there are 4 colors in this country. What are the 4 colors, sir? Brahmana color, Kshatriya color, Vaishya color, Shudra color. Na? That is an actual translation. No, translation means what? You are not interpreting, you are translating. There is a difference between translation and interpretation. That's what we said. Yonihi means womb. Literal meaning of the word is womb. Womb implies what? Implication of womb is birth. Right? Now we can't say implication of color is caste. See the difference? If you say color is equal to caste, then English also had color and caste, no? Womb. All over the world, any species for that matter, womb refers to birth. Isn't it? But if you take the same way, varna literally means color, color implication is caste, then what we have to say? Wherever color is, there is caste only. Therefore, we have to say what? Caste system is not something unique to only India, it is universal. Finished. Then they cannot say you people are bad, we are good. So they cannot use that word. They have to use the word. They have to create a new terminology for it. They use the word caste for it. Now, then comes little more if you go to that Vyakarana. Right. Etymology. Etymological meaning for the word varna, if you go, the root word is vri. Means to take up. I voluntarily take up something. A lifestyle that I take up and live. That's what it has to be referring to. What I take up. I have taken it up like this, which is voluntary one. Now you can't say your birth is taken up by. Sir, I never asked for my birth. You can argue. Okay. But birth is a choiceless one for you. At least at the discussion level. If you go very deep rootedly, if you go, your birth is your choice only. You chose your birth, which we are studying. Right. Now that's why I'm not going to that aspect now. Right. But generally, what is our understanding? Sir, birth is not in my hands. Death is not in my hands. But life is how I can choose. That is why they created two things. Two words were created. One, which you make a choice, you choose. That is Varna. Then you are born into some place. Wherever you are born Indian, full stop. Correct. Even if you get a green card and go to US also, you will be called as what? 4 generations, even if you live in India, in US, you are still will be called as what? Indian origin. Indian origin. Indian origin only will be there. Even after 40 generations, you can live also. Still, you will be called as what? Our ancestors are all from that place only. I met a family here. 100 years they were living in Mysore. For 100 years, the family was living in Mysore. But all our relatives are in, Tirunelveli, sir. Trichy. That is where we belong to. Inside India, they are saying Mysore. Now, 100 years means the great-grandfather came there, grandfather lived, died, father is living, dying, the son is living there, and the grandchild is already born. Now, still they are saying what? We belong to that place. We belong to that place. Varna, remember this. One. Then we come to the qualifications of this Vaishyas. What is the base for which? Here, in the spiritual discussion, we don't take into the lifestyle, definition for these people. So, two things taken out. Birth taken out. Lifestyle that you are choosing also taken out. Birth is taken out, karma taken out. Then what is remaining is only one guna, quality. What is the quality? There are 3 qualities we have. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. The Sattva, Rajas, Tamas combines in this particular permutation combination and creates the heterogeneous variety. The 3 Sattva, Rajas and Tamas permutation combination creates the 4 Varnas. Right. In that 4 Varnas, in this verse, Krishna is referring to the 2, Vaishyas and Shudras. The next verse he is referring to the Brahmana and Ajarishaya, he says. Kshatriyas he is not referring directly, he is referring to Kshatriyas indirectly as Ajarishaya. The 4 Varnas are coming in here, he said. So these 2 verses, this Vaishyas and Shudras, meaning Vaishyas have a particular quality in them. Technical understanding is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That Sattva, Rajas, Tamas combination pronounces in a particular way, a particular quality gets highlighted. That highlighted one, the disadvantage Vaishya has, disadvantage Shudra has. We'll see that in the next class. See, right? So this 3 gunas is the base. So 2 things you need to remember here. We have deleted birth, and we have deleted karma, lifestyle based discussion, because in the context of spiritual path is not something, spiritual growth is not your lifestyle. Lifestyle is not going to define your spiritual growth. Therefore, taken out of equation. Even though Krishna says earlier, somewhere else he says, I am the one who Maya Srishtam, he says. On the basis of what? Guna Karma Vibhagashara. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. Guna Karma Vibhagashara. Gunas and karmas. In this context, we have deleted karma. Okay. We are holding only to the guna based. Guna based division. What is a guna? 3 gunas are there. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. What is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and all that we will see, when we go there. The permutation combination of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the 3 produces the 4 gunas. 4 varnas. In that 4 varnas, this Vaishyas and Shudras have a disadvantage. Even though they have the disadvantage, if they take to it, they will also grow. So just because you have a disadvantage doesn't mean you cannot grow. They can also grow in the path. So what is a disadvantage for women? Women disadvantage is very basic one, is physical. That is one way of taking it. Second one we say is not physical, man. We are discussing internal. Internal means what? This inability to question because of their nature of passive acceptance. Acceptance is the nature of women. So, which is not conducive for spiritual path, because spiritual path demands questioning, that demands courage into plunge into, explore into a field of unknown, unexplored terrain. Demands a different nature, which women don't have it. Therefore, there is. So again, women don't take here to be referring to this feminine quality. Now, just a different word, immediately everything becomes all right for us. That shows how, closed we are. Don't call me a housewife, call me homemaker. Same job you are doing, As your status improved because of that. Same job, only you are cooking, you are cooking. Earlier also he was not helping you to cook. Today also he is not helping you to cook. Then what difference does it make? Sales representative, no, sales executive. Door-to-door selling only you have to do anyway. Right? But still, what is the just because today we have got involved with this, making that word different. In that we are getting involved. Instead of strihi, instead of saying women, take it as feminine. Anyone with that feminine quality dominant has a disadvantage. Right? We'll see more in the next class.